This call is now being recorded.
So once again, good afternoon all. So we have started the chapter number 3, which is related to the ergonomics and the industrial safety. And related to that, in the last lecture, we have covered the different types of the displays. So which we are using in the industry. So why the types of displays are considered in case of a ergonomic concepts? What is the role of the display? Because what happen whenever we have to measure any output, maybe sometimes we have to measure the output in the form of pressure, output in the form of temperature, the output in the form of flow rate, as per the requirement of that particular machine or as per the requirement of that particular job. We are measuring the different types of the output parameters. So all that particular output parameters can be measured through the different types of the displays. And we have discussed the different types of the displays, maybe in the form of quantitative display, then qualitative display. Then in that also we have discussed the subtypes related to the fixed pointer movable scale, then movable pointer fixed scale, then some auditory type of display. All the types of displays we have discussed in the last lectures. And that displays plays very important role, because if I have to observe the reading, on that particular display, that reading should be easily observed to that particular operator. If the scale provided on that particular display, if it is not properly visible to that particular operator, or whatever the pointer is rotating, during rotation, if that pointers are not rotating properly as per the output, at that time it is very difficult to obtain the clear output. So at that time it is necessary, or it is also required that we have to provide that particular displays in all respects, so that operator or that particular worker will get that particular output in proper way, without any fatigue, without any stress. He will get that particular output properly. Therefore, that different types of displays are also considered as one of the ergonomic concept. Now, after this particular display, now we'll discuss about the different types of the controls, because as we have to operate the machine, the controls are plays very important roles. The controls, in the sense, there are different types of the controls are there. For example, if you take the example of our lathe machine, so while operating or while working on that particular lathe machine, there are different types of the wheels are there, different types of the jaws are there, different types of the control devices are there, different types of the buttons are there. So we have to handle all that particular control devices simultaneously, then and then only we can operate that particular machine. Also, if we take the example of CNC machine or the VMC machine, in that CNC also different types of the buttons are there. First of all, I have to start the start button, then I have to start the programming button, then I have to hold the job, I have to press the pedal. Like that, so many activities we have to perform while working on any operation. But while working on that particular machine, different types of the control devices are to be provided. Okay. Now, here we are going to discuss the different types of the controls. So the first type is the hand control. So whatever the control devices we are handle or we are controlling through the hands, that particular devices are called as a hand controls. Maybe some different types of the rods are there, knobs are there, some levers are there, maybe some gears are there, maybe some rotating wheels are there. So like that control devices we are handling through your hand, therefore that devices are called as a hand control devices. Then hand lever. If you take the example of hand lever, maybe if you observe the vehicle, in case of a four-wheeler vehicle, if I have to increase the speed, at that time we have to increase that particular speed by using one hand lever, that we can call it as a gear. So if I have to change the gear to the left side of that particular driver, one vertical rod is provided. Through that particular rod, we can change that particular gear and we can increase the speed. So such types of the hand levers are also provided in case of a machines or in case of any type of equipments. Then hand wheels. Simple example, once again, I'm taking the four-wheelers. So while driving that particular four-wheelers, that hand wheel is there. Through that particular hand wheel, either we can control your vehicle. If I have to turn the vehicle at the right side, through that particular hand wheel, I can turn the either at the left side or either at the right side. That means it can be also controlled by using your hand. Then some cranks are also there. Through that particular cranks also we can operate your machine. Important thing is knobs. As we know that there are different types of the devices are there which are used in our laboratories. If you take the example of our mechanical laboratory, maybe which are used for the measurement purpose, mechanical measurement and control. So in that there are different types of the instruments are there. Some instruments are used to measure the pressure, then some are used to measure the flow rate, some are used to measure the temperature. So whatever the small instruments are available, on that particular small instrument, some rotating knobs are there. So through that particular knobs, we can operate that particular machine. Some rotating knobs which will be rotating anti-clockwise direction or the clockwise direction. Some rotating knobs are available in order to make for the coarse control arrangement and the fine control arrangement, because once we will start the instrument, that instrument will not show the zero reading. Maybe it will take some positive value or it will show some negative value. But before starting the reading, what is our requirement? We have to make that particular display is equal to 0. So what I will do, whatever the knobs are provided near to that particular display, that knob I will rotate maybe in anti-clockwise direction or maybe in clockwise direction. And through this particular rotation, you will make your display is equal to 0, and then we will start your actual experimentation. So in such conditions, that particular knobs are also plays very important role. Then push button. Again, the push button and the toggle switches. These are also again some control devices which are provided in the different types of the instruments when we are measuring the different types of the parameters in the form of pressure, flow rate, temperature, etc. So push button means we can observe that particular things. If I will press that particular button, maybe your machine is to be started. If once again I will press, that button will become outside your that instrument, it will get off. Therefore, for starting for on off position, such types of the push buttons and the toggle switches are to be provided in the different types of instrument. Or maybe this all the types of control devices are provided in the workstation where the operators or the workers are working. Then joystick. You know about this joystick where it is used. If you take the example of JCB, if I have to operate that particular JCB, at that time that driver is handling two types of levers when he has to work on that particular JCB, or he has to do some of the applications. At that time, these joysticks are plays very important role. So whatever the JCBs are there, whatever the big pokelands are there, such types of the big instruments or such types of the devices can be handled through this particular joystick. And last important thing is that the foot pedals. Again, if we take the example of four-wheeler, if I have to increase the speed, the accelerator is provided. If I have to decrease the speed, the brake is to be provided. If I have to change the gear, we will apply some of the pressure on the clutch, and then we will increase the speed. That means that foot pedals also plays very important role. Also, such types of the foot pedals are provided in the different types of the equipments, maybe in the CNC and the VMC machine, to hold the job. Because if I will press that particular pedal, your jaw will become in outside direction, and I have to hold that particular job. Again, I will press that particular pedal, and that job will be fixed in that particular chucks. So in order to operate some of the devices which are provided in the equipments, that can be controlled by using this particular foot pedals. So these are the different types of the control devices or different types of the controls which are provided in the industry on any type of workstation. Maybe we can take the example of lathe machine, CNC machine, VMC machine, drilling machine, some another devices like tractors, trolleys, material handling devices. In all such types of the devices, these types of the controls are to be provided. Now, why these particular control devices are considered under ergonomic factor? Because if I have to handle that particular workstation, means I have to handle this much amount of control devices. But while handling that particular control devices, there should not be any fatigue. There should not be any stress to that particular operator. Because if I have to operate the lever without any fatigue, without any stress, if I will operate very easily, then I can say that the ergonomic factors are to be considered. If I have to press the pedal without any fatigue to my leg, without any stress to my leg, if I will press that particular pedal in the proper way, then I can say that the ergonomic factors are to be considered. But sometimes if I have to rotate any wheel, if I have to control any type of lever, if I have to push any button, at that time that particular control devices are not properly accessible, or it should not be properly handleable to that particular operator. Means during handling that all those particular control devices, that operator or that particular workers comes under the fatigue. At that time, we can see that the ergonomic factors are not considered in that particular designing of that particular types of controls. Therefore, if we are designing any type of workstation, maybe if we are designing any type of machine, equipment, any material handling devices, any types of four-wheeler vehicles, two-wheeler vehicles, whatever the control devices are there, that control devices should be designed as per the requirement of the operator. Therefore, here the types of controls are also considered under the ergonomics factors. Now, one by one, we will see. Now, this is the hand control or the hand lever. If you see that particular figure, that one vertical rod is there, and that vertical rod, it has to be handled by that particular operator. So, while designing that particular hand control or the hand lever, what is our requirement? The proper gripping should be provided. While handling that particular lever, if the more surface finish is available to that particular lever, that at that time there may be possibility of skidding. So to avoid that particular situation, the proper gripping material should be provided to that particular lever. Also, during handling this particular lever, what is the requirement? There should not be any fatigue or there should not be any stress to that particular operator. That means that operator can easily handle this particular lever, maybe in the forward direction, maybe in backward direction, maybe at the right side or maybe at the left side. That means without any fatigue, if I can handle this particular lever properly, means ergonomics factors are to be considered. Also, this particular lever should be provided near to the operator. If that operator has to handle that particular lever, and to handle it, if he has to travel more distance from your machine, again that operator will be fatigued. So whenever it is necessary or as per its application, such types of the hand levers should be provided near to that particular operator only, so he can handle that particular lever or the control devices very easily. So it is having advantages, that is quick action. So this particular lever, quick action will be taking place. The fine adjustment is not possible. Fine adjustment means if I have to obtain small movement, from one location to the another location, such type of the small movements cannot be controlled by using this particular hand levers. This is the major disadvantages. And third, it provides on-off situation. If I have to start the button or if I have to start your machine, that hand lever can be shifted to the front side, means your machine is to be started. If I have to stop that particular machine, again that hand lever I will take to its original position, means your machine will get stopped. So quick action will be taking place. This hand lever plays very important role for the on-off situation. But if I have to go for the fine adjustment, means if I have to take the small movement only, that small movement cannot be operated or it cannot be done by using this particular hand controls or the hand levers. So this is the first control devices which is provided on the workstation. Then hand wheels. You know about the hand wheels. If you take the example of four-wheeler, as we have to control that particular vehicle, maybe you have to turn to the right side or maybe you have to turn to the left side. At that time, this hand wheel or that steering, we can call it as a steering, it plays very, very important role. If that steering or that hand wheel is not provided, it is not possible to control that particular vehicle. That means as per the requirement of that operator or as per the requirement of that particular driver, this hand wheel or the steering is provided in case of that four-wheeler vehicles. Similarly, if you take the example of lathe machine, in lathe machine also, the two types of the hand wheels are provided. One hand wheel is used in order to move the tool post either to the front side or either to the back side, and also one more wheel is provided at the bottom side in order to move your total carriage. We can call it as a carriage, that carriage either to the right side and the left side. If such types of the hand wheels are not provided in case of a lathe machine, it is not possible to move your tool post from one location to the another location or to move your carriage from one location to the another location. Therefore, that hand wheels are plays very important role in case of a lathe machine. In addition to that, whatever the diameters of the wheels are there, the diameter of that particular wheel is also designed as per the requirement of the operator. If the diameter of the wheel is very high and the height of this person is very less, at that time it is very difficult to that operator to rotate that particular wheel. Therefore, as per the requirement of the operator, as per the dimensions of that particular operator body or worker body, that particular hand wheels are to be designed. And it is having the advantage that it provides the torque by the two hands. It provides the torque as it is the rotating element. Hand wheel is one of the rotating element and it can provide the torque to the two hands. Sometimes the hand wheels can be operated by the single hand only, maybe either right hand or at the left hand. But some of the heavy duty applications are there. In that heavy duty applications, we have to handle that particular wheel by using the two hands only. At that time, that particular wheel, it should provide the torque to that particular hands. Then fine control arrangement is possible. So in this previous figure, hand lever, through this particular hand lever, the fine adjustment or the fine controlling is not possible. But in case of a hand wheel, the fine controlling is to be possible. Also, it is used for the heavy duty applications. If you take the example of the big ships are available, big ships. So to handle that particular big ships, so many hand wheels are provided, and that are very big in size. Because in case of a ship, there are some heavy duty applications are there, maybe some lifting of the components. So in such applications, wherever the heavy duty applications are there, in such condition or in such applications, this such types of the wheels are to be provided. Also, in case of a material handling devices, in the industry there are different types of the cranes are there. So to handle that particular cranes, such types of the wheels are provided. So through this particular wheels, that operator or that particular worker can handle that particular heavy components very easily from one location to the another location. Then another important control device is called as a crank. Crank, we know about the basic definition of the or basic construction of that particular crank. So it will transport the motion from one point to the another point. So such type of the cranks are also provided in various types of the application. Means if you take the example of our engine, in case of a engine, there are so many components are there. Maybe your piston is there, crank is there. So that cranks, it also plays very important role in order to transmit the power. So such types of the crank devices are also provided in various types of the equipments for the power transmission. But during that particular power transmission, that crank should be easily accessible to that particular operator, so that operator can handle that particular machine very easily. Again, it is having the two advantages. It provides the torque by the one hand. So hand wheel, it provides the torque for the both hands as per the requirement, but the crank, it is one of the small component, so it can be handled by using the single hand only. So it can provide the torque by the one hand only. And second, the smaller cranks are used for the fast control. If the dimensions of that particular cranks are very small, so due to its small dimensions, it is used for the fast control. If the size of that particular cranks are very high, he can also control, but whatever the small movements are there, it cannot be controlled by using the big cranks. Therefore, as per the requirement of that particular machine, so that cranks are to be designed, and accordingly he can control that particular machine. So these are the three devices, three controls we have discussed. One is your hand control, or it is also called as a hand lever, then hand wheels, and then the cranks. And now knobs. We have discussed about this particular knobs, where it is provided. Such types of the knobs are provided in case of a measuring instrument. You have observed this particular instruments in our college, maybe in the M lab, metrology lab. So such types of the knobs are provided to the various types of the instrument. Means if I have to measure the temperature, if I have to measure the pressure, if I have to measure the flow rate. So in such types of the instruments, such types of the small knobs or the big diameter knobs are provided near to the display. Because why this particular knob is required? Because if I have to start my experimentation, and if I will switch on the machine, so without any load, that display will show some of the readings, maybe 0.25, minus 0.37. So like that readings are visible on that particular display without applying any load. But what is our requirement? Before starting your experimentation, what is requirement? We have to make that particular display is equal to 0. So what we will do? Whatever the controls or whatever the knobs are provided near to that particular display, that knobs I will rotate maybe in the clockwise direction or maybe in anti-clockwise direction, and I will make that particular display is equal to 0. Once display will show the 0 reading, then and then only we will start your experimentation part. So in order to handle that particular such types of the display devices, such types of the knobs are provided in that particular instrument. So here you can see the first figure, it represents the one knob having very small diameter, then middle knob having the some big diameter, and whatever the third figure is there, it is having the maximum diameter. So the first figure indicates the coarse control, and diameter of that particular knob is given 10 mm. Coarse control means if I have to change the maximum distances, if your display will show the maximum reading without applying any load, at that time this coarse knob or coarse control button we are using to make your display is equal to 0. Then the middle figure indicates the fine control, and the diameter of that particular knob is given 35 mm. So this particular knob is also provided on that particular instruments to control your display. And the last, which is to be given by big diameter having diameter up to the 75 diameter is to be provided. So there are different types of the knobs are there having the different types of the diameters, and through this particular knobs we can control our machine. But as per the applications, in some of the machines only coarse control knob is required. In some of the machines, the fine control knob is required. In some of the machines, the step-by-step control knob is required. But if such types of the knobs are provided in any type of instrument or any type of equipment, that knob should be easily accessible to that particular operator. If its diameter is very less or its diameter is very maximum, at that time that operator or that particular worker is unable to rotate that particular knob. Therefore, as per the requirement of that particular operator, as per the required application, that knob has to be designed, means its diameter has to be designed. So it is having the three important advantages: used for light loading control. So such types of the knobs are not used for the heavy duty applications. So wherever the light loadings are there, that means only we have to change the small distances. We have to go for the small changes only. At that time, this particular knobs are plays very important role. That means light loading control. Then third application, operated by the finger or the hand only. So such types of the knobs are operated by the finger, or maximum it is handled by using your hand. But maximum times whatever these particular knobs are provided, they are very small in diameter. Therefore, it can be handled by using your fingers only. Therefore, as per the requirement of that particular operator, its diameter is to be designed. And last is mostly used in instrument control panel. Just now I have explained. If I have to make your display is equal to 0, so whatever our instrument control panels are there, maybe we are measuring the pressure, flow rate, temperature, velocity. So during measuring such parameters, whatever the control devices are there or control panels are provided on that particular control panels, this particular knobs are to be provided. So this is the fourth control device which is provided in case of a different types of the equipments, different types of the machines, or maybe it is provided in the different types of the workstation. Therefore, these knobs are also plays very important role in the ergonomic consideration. So it is designed as per the requirement of that particular operator. So these are the different types of knobs. Then push button and the toggle switch. Here the figure for the push button and the figure for the toggle switch, it is also given. So push button means if I have to start the machine, I will press that particular button, the machine will get started. If I have to stop that particular machine, again I have to press the same button, that button will become in outward direction and your machine will get off. So such types of the push buttons are also provided in various types of the machines to start the machine or to stop the machines. But such types of the important buttons are provided near to that particular operator only. If you take the example of your CNC machine, if you have observed which is in our college, so on that particular CNC machine, such types of the push buttons are provided. So many push buttons are available. One button is required to start the machine, another button is required to start the coolant, another button is required to start the spindle, another button is required to close the door. So many buttons are provided on that particular control panels, in which we have to press that particular button number of times and again. So such types of the push buttons are provided near to that particular operator, so he can immediately start your machine and stop your machine as per his requirement. So this is the push button and the toggle switches. So such types of the toggle switches are previously it is used in our home. Nowadays some standard switches are available. But such types of the toggle switches are previously it is used in the various types of the industries, are also it is also used in some of the homes also. But nowadays some standard switches are available. Such types of the toggle switches are not nowadays it is used in various types of the application, but previously it was used in various types of the control panels and various types of the machines to control that particular machine in all respects. Also it is having some advantages. That is, first one, it is used for the light loading control. Similar to the knob, this push buttons, simple application, either we have to start your machine or either we have to stop your machine, or either I have to start one application or either I have to stop my that particular application. That means application is very simple. So it is used for the light load controlling. It is operated by the finger, once again same. So whatever the knobs are there, these knobs are also handled by using the finger. Similarly, whatever the push buttons are there, that push buttons are operated by using the single finger only. But sometimes the two fingers we are using, but maximum times by using the single finger only, that particular push button or this particular toggle switches can be operated. But what is the requirement? Such types of the push buttons or the toggle switches, it should be provided near to that particular operator or on the machine only. So all the switches can be easily operatable or accessible to that particular worker. Also, mostly it is used for the instrument control panels. Similar to that knob. So such type of the push buttons or the toggle switches are provided on the control panel. If you have observed the electrical panel of any type of machine, so on that particular electrical panel, so many push buttons are provided, so many rotating knobs are provided, so many switches are provided. So such types of the small control devices are provided on the machine control panel. So we can handle that particular machine very easily, and we can control that particular machine. So these are the fifth type of the control device, which is called as a push button and the toggle switches. And joystick, I have given the example of JCB. If we have to operate that particular JCB, if we have to move the JCB from one location to the another location, simple application, that rotating wheel is available and gear is available, and we can travel to that particular JCB. But when I have to use that particular JCB for any type of application, at that time what we have to do, that driver will rotate in 180 direction, and from the back side he can handle that particular JCB. So while operating that particular JCB, such types of the joysticks are to be provided. So through this particular joystick, we can use that particular bucket, maybe to lift the load or to take that particular bucket to the right side, left side, upper side, downward side. So whatever the hydraulic systems are provided in case of that particular JCB, that hydraulic system or that hydraulic devices, it can be controlled by using this particular joysticks. Or also we can take the example of game. So whatever the small children are there, that children are playing the games on maybe on the computers or maybe on the small display boards. So in such type, by playing with that particular game, some remote controls are available with them. So that remote control is also one of the type of the joystick. So such types of the joysticks are also provided in various types of the material handling equipments. So many JCBs are there, some of the pokelands are there, then some material handling devices like tractors, trucks, then some cranes are there. So in that particular material handling devices, such types of the joysticks are to be provided. Mostly wherever we are operating the hydraulic equipments, wherever the hydraulic devices are available, that hydraulic devices, it can be controlled by using this particular joystick devices. So it is having some advantages, used extensively, then used in the computers and the CNC machine. Just now I have discussed wherever the we are operating any types of machine by using the computers, or whenever the small children are playing the games on the computers, or wherever the CNC machines are there, VMC machines are there, then material handling devices like JCBs, tractors. So in all such types of the devices, this particular joysticks are to be provided. Then maybe game remote, just now I have explained, and the JCB machines, maximum times it will be provided in the game remotes, and mostly it is provided in the JCB machines, because without any this joystick, it is not possible to operate that particular hydraulic components. Because whatever that bucket is there, which is that bucket which is used in that JCB, that bucket, it can be totally controlled by using this particular joystick only. Therefore maximum times it is mostly used in the automatic devices, that means automatic CNC machines, VMC machines, then some game remotes are there, and maximum times it is mostly used in the JCB machines. So this is about one of the types of control devices, which is called as a joystick. And now the foot pedal. So as we know that there are different applications are there for the foot pedal. So I have given the example of four-wheeler. If you take the example of four-wheeler, it consists of a total 3 pedals. One pedal is related, which is called as a clutch. Another pedal, which is called as an accelerator. And third pedal, it is called as a brake. So that particular pedals are provided at the bottom side where the driver is sitting. So whatever that number of pedals are available, that pedals, it should be properly designed. So that driver can be easily press that particular clutch pedal, he can easily press that particular accelerator, he can easily press that particular brake if I have to reduce that particular vehicle. So while designing that particular different types of the pedals, that ergonomics factors are to be considered. So here you can see the figure, that is in that particular figure, that particular pedal, it will be in inclined position. Then the leg of that particular operator is also there. There is some standard angle. That angle is also represented through this particular pedal, because if I have to press the clutch without any fatigue, without any stress, I have to press that particular clutch. If I have to press the brake, so without any fatigue to the leg of that particular driver, then and then we can say that ergonomic factors are to be considered. But sometimes what happen, while pressing that particular clutch, while pressing that particular brake, that driver, it is in fatigue, or he is under the stress, and there may be possibility to lose the control of that particular vehicle. So in order to avoid such type of the situations, whatever the different types of the foot pedals are there, maybe here I have taken the example of four-wheeler. So such types of the foot pedals are provided in various types of the machines. So some of the operations, it can be handled by using that particular foot pedals. So while designing that particular foot pedals, that ergonomic factors we have to consider. So it is having some of the advantages. Fast and quick action. Fast and quick action means, if you take the example of vehicle, four-wheeler vehicle, or maybe the two-wheeler vehicle, if I have to change the speed of the vehicle, initially what we will do, we will press the clutch and then we will change the speed by using the gear, and then we'll release that particular clutch. That means if I have to want the fast and the quick action, so that can be obtained by using this particular foot pedals. It is used for the medium and the heavy loading. For wherever the heavy duty applications are there, wherever the medium duty applications are there, in such applications, this foot pedals plays very, very important role. It is having the high accuracy. It is having very high accuracy, because if I will apply the pressure on that particular pedal, immediately it will give the action. If you take the example of brake, if I will press the brake, immediately speed of the vehicle goes on decreasing. So such types of the foot pedals are having the high accuracy, used in the sitting position, wherever the operators are sitting. If you take the example of any lathe machine, or maybe CNC machine, VMC machine, four-wheeler vehicles, two-wheeler vehicles, wherever the operator is sitting, wherever the driver is sitting, wherever that particular worker is sitting, at that position only, that pedals are to be provided. Wherever the sitting position is there, at that sitting position only, this particular pedals are to be provided. That pedals is handled by the leg of that particular operator only. That pedals are not operated by the hands of the operator. It is to be handled by the leg or the foot of that particular operator only. Therefore, it is provided at the sitting position only. So this is also one of the foot pedals which will be designed as per the ergonomic concept. Means while pressing that particular pedal, there should not be any fatigue to that particular operator. Okay, and here again some of the another devices are there which are explained by the different types of the application. So you can see here the first application, in which one bicycle is there. In that particular bicycle, that one rotating pedal is there. It is also one of the control. One rotating pedal is there. It is handled by that particular operator. Then whatever the handle is there, that handle is to be controlled by that particular operator. Then second figure, it is related to the push button. The third figure, it is related to the foot push button. Then this is the crank. Whatever the fourth figure is there, it is related to the crank. Then knobs. I have given the example, wherever the control panels are there, in that particular control panels, this particular knobs are to be provided. Then wheels. In so many applications, the wheels are to be provided, maybe for the medium duty application or for the heavy duty applications. And then levers. So these are the different types of the control devices which are provided in various types of the machines, in various types of the equipments, wherever the operators or the workers are working. Means what is the requirement? Wherever such type of the control devices are provided, all the control devices should be easily accessible, or it should be easily operatable to that particular operator without any fatigue, without any stress. Therefore, all those particular control devices, it should be designed as per the ergonomic consideration or as per the requirement of that particular operator. So these are the different types of the control devices. So in that we have discussed about the different types of the hand controls or the hand levers, then hand wheels and the different types of the cranks, then knobs maybe for the coarse control arrangement, fine control arrangement. Then if I have to go for the step by step position, at that time this third figure is also used. Then push button and the toggle switches. So these are used for the light loading, or it is to be provided on the control panel of any type of instrument. Then these are the joystick, the major application of the joystick in the game remote, and mostly it is used in the JCB machines. And last we have discussed about the foot pedals. Wherever the operator is sitting at that location only, such types of the foot pedals are to be provided. And these are the different types of the figures through which you can easily get what is the use of that particular control devices wherever the operators are to be working. So the example of the bicycle is given, where the rotating pedal is there, then handle is there, then push button, foot push button, cranks, knobs, wheels, levers. So these are the different types of the control devices which are provided in the industry, or it is used in the industry to operate the workstation. And all the such types of the devices are easily operatable, and it should be provided near to that particular operator, so that operator can handle all those particular devices easily without any fatigue, without any stress. So this is about the different types of the control devices which are designed as per the ergonomic concept. And now the next point is the manual material handling system. What is mean by the material handling system? You know that in case of a industry, there are some small components are there, there are some medium components are there, or some heavy duty components are there. So whatever the small components are there, that small components can be easily handled by that particular operator. That means I have to take that particular small component from one location and I have to transfer to the another location. So that small components, small objects, it can be easily handled by that particular operator. But some heavy duty components are there, it cannot be handled by that particular operator. At that time we have to provide some material handling devices. Maybe we can provide some of the trolleys, some tractors, some cranes are there, maybe some chain drive is there, some belt drives are there. So many different material handling devices are there. Through this particular material handling devices, we can transfer that components from one location to the another location. If you take the example, if your component is to be ready, and if I have to move that particular component, or if I have to shift that particular component to the storage device, so from workstation to the storage department, maybe some belt drives are provided. So at one side I will keep that particular component on that particular belt drive. If that belt drive will start rotating, that component will be start moving from that particular workstation, and directly it is shifted to the storage department. And at that storage department, one operator is there or one worker is there, he can take that particular component from the belt drive and he can store in that particular store department. So wherever the requirements are there, we have to provide the material handling devices. So therefore here I have written the many jobs and activities require the material handling, such as loading and unloading. Wherever we have to load the job or wherever we have to unload the job, in that case the material handling devices plays very important role. MEH, in short I have written manual material handling. Capital M, and capital H, it represents manual material handling activities, affects preliminary musculate system, causes the overexertion. So what happens, sometimes some of the heavy components are there having the maximum weight, and that particular components are to be handled by the some of the operators, but he can handle that particular operator that time, but afterwards there may be possibility of overexertion. While lifting that particular components, there may be some damage to that particular hand of the operator, there may be some damage to the leg of that particular operator. So wherever some heavy duty components are there and that heavy duty components are to be operated or it will be handled by that particular operator, there may be possibility of over exertion to that particular operator. So small components, it can be easily handled by the operator, but the heavy duty components are also handled by that particular operator, but afterwards there may be possibility of over exertion. And due to such situations, what happen, or while handling such types of the heavy duty components in case of a MMH, the three approaches are to be considered. Whenever we are operating such small duty components, medium duty components, or the heavy duty components, or wherever we are using some material handling devices, at that time, in case of a manual material handling system, the three approaches are to be considered. Out of that, the first one is a biochemical approach, second is called as a physiological approach, and third one is called as a psychological approach. So these are the three approaches we have to consider in case of a MMH system. If I will consider all those particular approaches in case of a material handling systems, at that time, that operator or the worker can lift or he can shift that particular heavy duty components from one location to the another location. So these are the three major approaches which we have to consider in case of a MMH, that is manual material handling system. In detail we will think afterwards, but just now we have to keep in mind that is one approach is called as a biochemical, second is called as a physiological, and third one is called as a psychological approach. Now what is the meaning of that particular three approaches? That is here I have written, that is approaches for assessing the MMH capabilities. So what is the first? How much can be handled without damage to the body? For example, the weight of the component is 30 kg, and normally whatever the operators are there which are working in the industry, if I will consider the weight of that particular operator, normally maybe 60 kg. So the weight of the operator is 60 kg and weight of that particular component is near about 25 to 30 kg. So that operator can be easily handle that 30 kg load without any damage. But if the weight of the operator is 50 to 60 and the weight of that component is near about 80 to 90 kg, so that load or that particular component, it cannot be handled by that particular operator. Therefore, how much can be handled without damage of the body in the form of example of muscle strain, disc injuries, or joint problems. So this is called as a biochemical criteria. Weight of the operator is 60 kg and the weight of the component is 30 kg, so he can easily handle without any pain. Sometimes the pain will be there at his hand, maybe at the pain at his leg also. But if the weight of that particular component is very high as compared to the weight of that particular operator, at that time there may be possibility of strain to that particular operator. There may be possibility of some injuries to hand of that particular operator or to the leg. There may be some joint problems. If we are lifting some of the heavy duty components, maybe there may be possibility at your back pains. So it will create the problem at your back pains also. So such types of the factors it will be considered in case of a biochemical approach. Therefore, wherever the operator can handle that particular workload very easily, so if he can handle very easily, so that particular concept is called as a biochemical. Then second, how much can be handled without over exertion of the lungs? So sometimes we can lift that particular heavy duty components very easily, but afterwards there may be possibility of over exertion. बघा मराठीत आपण काय म्हणतो, काय काय ऑपरेटर मध्ये काय एकदम जोश असतो, जोशात काय करतात एकदम हेवी ड्युटी कंपोनंट काय करतात लिफ्ट करतात. लिफ्ट केल्यानंतर ते एका लोकेशन पासून दुसऱ्या लोकेशनला जातात, पण एक 10-15 मिनिटांनी 15-20 मिनिटांनी देर मे बी पॉसिबिलिटी ऑफ ओव्हर एक्सर्शन, त्यांना काय होतो त्या वेटचा त्रास व्हायला लागतो. सो सच टाइप ऑफ द फॅक्टर्स विल बी कन्सिडर्ड इन केस ऑफ ए फिजिओलॉजिकल क्रायटेरिया. म्हणजे बायोकेमिकल मध्ये काय, जेवढ्या आपल्या बॉडीला शक्य आहे तेवढंच वेट त्या ऑपरेटरने काय करायचंय लिफ्ट करायचंय, पण लिफ्ट करताना त्याला कुठल्या प्रकारचा स्ट्रेन ना आला पाहिजे, कुठल्या प्रकारचं बॅक पेन आलं नाही पाहिजे, कुठल्या प्रकारची इंजुरी नाही झाली पाहिजे. दुसऱ्या ह्याच्यामध्ये आपण काय सांगतोय ओव्हर एक्झर्शन. वी आर लिफ्टिंग द हेवी ड्युटी कंपोनंट्स नो प्रॉब्लेम, बट आफ्टरवर्ड्स देर मे बी पॉसिबिलिटी ऑफ ओव्हर एक्सर्शन अँड इट विल क्रिएट द प्रॉब्लेम टू द ब्रीथिंग of that particular operator, and that particular factor will be considered under the physiological criteria. And third one is how much do people feel able to handle comfortably? How much do people feel able to handle comfortably? किती प्रमाणात वेट तो ऑपरेटर इझिली किंवा कम्फर्टेबल ह्याच्यामध्ये तो हँडल करू शकतोय, तर दॅट फॅक्टर इज कॉल्ड ॲज ए सायकोलॉजिकल क्रायटेरिया. म्हणजे आपली सायकोलॉजी किती आहे, 20 kg लोड वी कॅन इझिली हँडल, देन वी कॅन हँडल व्हेरी इझिली. इट्स while lifting that particular 20 kg load, that operator is comfortable to lift that particular load. But weight is very high, near about 80 to 90 kg, and the operator is not comfortable at that time, it will not be operable. So as per the psychological criteria, if that operator has to handle the 20 kg load, 30 kg load, and he is having the psychology like I can handle 30 kg load very easily, I can handle 20 kg load very easily, so it becomes, or it shows that the psychology of that particular operator, that he can handle that particular work very easily in the comfortable manner. So that particular factors will be considered in case of a psychological criteria. So these are the three important approaches or the three important criteria which we are considering while handling the components, and that factor is called as a manual material handling. Manual material handling means all the jobs or all the components, it will be handled by the operator only. This particular criteria, it will not be applicable for the material handling devices. Material handling devices la he criteria applicable nahi. This all the three criteria, it will be applicable for the operator only. Therefore this MMH, it is called as a manual material handling. Wherever the operators are handling the heavy duty components or medium duty components or the light duty components, in such conditions only these three approaches are to be considered, or the three criteria are to be considered, which is called as a biochemical, then physiological, and the psychological. So this is about the different types of the approaches which we have to consider wherever the operators are handling the various types of the equipments or the various types of the jobs. Then once again here, same approaches I have explained in the detail. That is the biochemical approach. This approach determines the mechanical stress on the body or the muscles. Biochemical approach, it will determine the mechanical stress on the body. Whenever we are lifting the components, if the weight is very high, it may be trouble to your hand. बघा आपण जर एखाद्या हातामध्ये जर उचलायला गेलो आणि हाताला जर एकदम जोर आला, तर there may be possibility of the maximum stress to that particular hand. So such types of the stresses are to be calculated. Whatever the human stress, whatever the stresses are developed in that particular body of the operator, it will be considered in case of a biomechanical approaches. Then second, physiological. This approach considers the activities that are frequently done over the certain duration of time. So sometimes again and again we are doing the same activity, taking components from one location, shifting to the another, taking component one location, shifting to the another. That means this task we are doing again and again. In such situation also there may be possibility of some fatigue to that particular operator. So to avoid that particular situations, so whatever the stresses are coming during the repetitive operations, that will be considered under the physiological approach. And whatever the last approach is there, psychological, it name itself suggests that it depends upon the psychology of that particular operator. If the psychology of the operator is that I can handle the 30 kg load very easily, then he can handle very easily. If the psychology of operator is not there, like I cannot handle the 30 kg load, it is not possible to handle that 30 kg load. Therefore, this psychological approach is the combination of biochemical and the physiological approach. It depends upon the psychology of the operator. So sometimes the psychology of the operator is very good. He can handle some heavy duty components also very easily. It depends upon the psychology of that particular operator. That means at one side, the operator cannot handle 10 kg load at least, because its psychology is not there to perform that particular task. But at one side, the another operator, he can handle 50 to 60 kg load very easily, because its psychology is that I can handle that particular load very easily. Therefore, this psychological approach, it plays very important role while handling that particular devices, and it is the combination of that particular biochemical and the physiological approach. So these are the major three approaches which we are considering in case of a MMH. These approaches will not be applicable for the material handling equipments. Means trolley is there, tractor is there, cranes are there, some another material handling equipments are there, it will not be applicable for that particular devices. These are the three major approaches which will be applicable for the operators or the persons only, because here we are calculating the stresses induced in that particular operator body. So these are the three major approaches which are considering in case of a MMH, means material handling equipments. And while designing it, design considerations in EMMH activities, the first design is decrease the weight of the object which is to be handled. Whatever the object it is to be handled by the operator, the weight of that particular object it should be decreased. जर वेटच कमी असेल तर तो ऑपरेटर ते वेट इझिली हँडल करू शकतो. So first design consideration is that decrease the weight of the object which is to be handled. Second, use 2 or more people for heavy and the large objects. If one object it can be handled by the 2 operators, so at that point you have to provide the 2 persons or the 2 people, so that 2 people can be easily handle that particular work. But if it should be handled by the single worker, there may be possibility of fatigue or there may be possibility of stresses in the human body. Therefore, wherever it is necessary, we can provide 2 or more people for the heavy duty applications. Then third, use pull and push activities. If I have to move the load or heavy components from one location to the another location, so I can use the activity pull, push, like that activity. I can shift that particular components from one location to the another location. Minimizing the carrying distance. Your load, weight of the load is very low, but to shift that particular load from one location to the another location, that operator has to travel maximum distance. Then also it will create the problems in the performance of the operator. Therefore, whatever the carrying distance is there from one location to the another location, that carrying distance also it should be reduced. Or we can provide number of workers from this distance to this distance, worker number 1, from second to third, worker number 3, or worker number second, from third to fourth, like that we can make the chain of the operator through which we can handle that particular work very easily. Then fifth one is a stock material below the shoulder height. Whenever we are shifting the components from one location to the another location, so whatever the material we are shifting, it should be below the shoulder. जे काय आपले शोल्डर असते त्या शोल्डरच्या खालीच तुमचं वेट काय झालं पाहिजे, हातामध्ये सस्टेन झालं पाहिजे. ते जर तुम्ही तुमच्यावर खांद्यावर घेण्याचा प्रयत्न केला, देर मे बी पॉसिबिलिटी ऑफ फटिक टू दी जॉइंट ऑफ युअर hand. Therefore, whatever the work we are handling, it should be the below to the shoulder of that particular hand. Keep heavy objects at the knuckle height. Whatever the heavy components are there, heavy duty components are there, it should be at your knuckle height only. If we will take that particular components above the knuckle, there may be possibility of maximum fatigue or maximum stress to the body of that particular operator. Therefore, small components we can take at certain height, no problem, but whatever the heavy components are there, it should be at your knuckle height only. Then design containers with handles. So wherever the containers we are designing, that containers can be designed as per the requirement of that particular operator. Then select the best person to do the certain activity. Select the best person. Some of the persons which are using their tricks, some skilled persons are there. That skilled persons are using their tricks to shift the component from one location to the another location. So such type of the skilled persons are provided to that particular activity, so that the task can be completed very easily and within shortened time. Ninth one, assign the job within worker activity. So whatever the job we are assigning to that particular operator, it should be assigned within the worker capacity. If some small children are working in the industry, as per that particular age or as per the weight of that particular children, we have to assign the work. Similarly, whatever the operators are there, operators who are working on that particular machine or for the handling the objects, as per the capacity of that particular operator or the worker, the work is to be assigned. Then training to the worker properly in the techniques of the lifting. So some standard trainings are also provided to that particular worker, how the component is to be lifted from the bottom side to the maximum height. So such type of the training, it should be given to that particular operator or the workers. So without any fatigue, he can lift the heavy duty components from the bottom side to the certain height. So such type of the trainings are also provided in case of a industry. And last one is a train them to adapt the safe practices. Whenever we are working in heavy duty applications or to transfer the components from one location to the another location, some safety practices are also to be provided. Whenever we are working in heavy duty application, some safety devices we have to provide to that particular worker. Maybe some different types of the headphones are there in order to avoid the effect of noise. Some hand gloves are there, some helmets are there. So such type of the safety devices or the safety practices we have to provide, or related trainings are also we have to provide to that particular worker. So these are the various design considerations which we have to consider in a manual material handling activities. These design considerations are applicable wherever the operators are working. It should not be applicable to the material handling equipments. So these are the design considerations which we have to consider wherever the operators are to be working. If we will consider all these particular design considerations, we can handle that particular load very easily in safe manner, without any fatigue, without any stress to that particular body of that particular operator or the that particular worker. So these are the design considerations which are considered in case of a manual material handling activities. Okay, so with this, today we will stop here. Remaining part we will take in the next lecture.